Hi, I'm Mike. Welcome to 2020 on the ranch. Today we start things out in style as we take these calves for a ride and get the one paycheck that the ranch gets each and every year. We call it sale day on our Wyoming Life.
Previously in our Wyoming Life.
It was then that a hailstorm hit and changed our entire haying plan. That hailstorm lasted only 10 minutes, but completely took out any alfalfa and clover that was left standing. Long story short, the herd will be reduced. We thought we were going to have to do it last year. We managed to avoid it, but this year it's written in the stars.
So yes, and this year things on the ranch are changing a bit, and we've decided not to sell our calves right away.
This winter on the ranch, we're rewriting the way that we do things and trying to make improvements for the better. Normally, calves would have been sold already and they would have left the ranch. We would be on to winter feeding and, well, we would have a paycheck in the bank. None of those things are happening this year. For the first time since we've been on the ranch, we've decided to keep calves home and wean them off their moms and put some weight on them before selling a single one next.
If we sold calves today, we wouldn't make enough money to pay expenses. I'm not one to wait for a problem to fix itself because in all reality, our problem is somebody else's solution. If we aren't making the money, somebody else is. And if we aren't making enough to cover expenses, then somebody might be making too much on the other side. It's time to grow up for the calves and the ranch.
Hi there, and welcome back to a brand new year on the ranch. If you're just getting in on the action, it's a great time to join us, and it's a great way to start the year with the sale of calves. It's the one big paycheck, and it's one that we've put off for the last 90 days as we weaned and fattened the calves. In just a few hours, we'll be taking them to auction and beginning another cycle on the ranch. Subscribe and be sure to hit the bell button, turn on notifications so you don't miss a thing as we head into calving, haying, lots of projects along the way, tool and ranching and farming tech reviews, along with a whole lot more. It doesn't matter if you live the ranching and farming lifestyle or if you've always wanted to, or maybe you just want to know the stories behind the how and the why food gets to your table. Come along, explore the ranch life, and escape the ordinary.
"90 days ago, we changed how we ranch here in Northeast Wyoming. For the last 100 years that our ranch has existed, we sold calves in October, getting that one big paycheck and surviving on it for an entire year. This year, October came and went, and the bills kept piling up, and the calves stayed on the ranch. For the most part. Some calves went off to our neighbors, who buy them to finish for their own freezers. Others went on to become 4-H steers, to be shown and awarded ribbons for my club, my community, my country, and my world. Still, other heifers were sold when the ranch was desperate for cash to help grow others' herds, and even a few lucky steers were chosen to stay right here, to be finished, and eventually support the ranch in the purest of fashions, with their meat being offered at the farm store and online in beef jerky. With the largest of the steers and the choice heifers gone, it's time to close the chapter on another season on the ranch.
Sometimes around here it's hard to keep track of where one season starts and another one ends. I think I spent the first couple of years trying to figure out when that happens, but I've kind of narrowed it down to the season ends when we sell calves and the season starts when calves are born. And that gives us a little bit of a break in between, but not anymore. Now it's almost right from one into the next.
It's a different feeling on the ranch this morning. Normally, sale day happens in October, and we have a number of friends over to help sort, and sometimes even a little meal together afterwards. Today, it's just us. The calves were sorted long ago, and now it's just a matter of moving them through the corrals, up into alleys, and closer to the truck. The 53-foot-long livestock trailer will haul over 100 calves for us today. Our truck driver, Kachina, is back this year and ready to load, giving Erin and I the number of calves she needs for each of the 6 compartments in her truck. Overall, it's not too bad. It's only about 10 degrees, but the calves are loading just fine. Normally, we'd have the added stress of them just being taken off their moms, but 90 days later is just another day of moving through the corrals. Every calf is loaded onto Kachina's trailer, and when the last one is pushed in, she can head down the road again, going places, well, the same places she's been over and over again. Today we're selling calves in St. Onge, South Dakota. In our area there are 3 different livestock auction barns within about 100 miles of us: Buffalo, Wyoming, Belle Fourche, South Dakota, and St. Onge. I often get asked if one barn is better prices than the others, but in reality it's a lot of the same buyers at the 3 barns. Hence the reason Buffalo sells on Wednesday, Belle Fourche on Thursday, and St. Onge on Friday.
I know for a fact that I haven't made too many friends in the cattle auction industry. I'm sure I've said a few things that probably went over like a lead balloon, but that's just the way I feel, so I'm not afraid to say it. But there is that fear that when you go in to sell calves, that somebody who's there might know who you are, they might know what you've said, and that might cause a problem. We'll see what happens, but you know, we can always hope for the best and prepare for the worst, and it's just one of those crazy things that we have to deal with, and sometimes you have to get in bed with the enemy.
Upon arrival at the sales barn, it's time to unload Kachina's trailer so that she can get to hauling another load. And once inside, we can see the number of compartments that calves are held in. Each trap door reveals another group, all packed in tight for safety on their ride and eager to exit. Probably just looking for fresh air, which might be hard to find around here. There are thousands of cattle ready to be sold today, and each group waits in their own set of corrals, all kept separate by a number of cowboys in charge of sorting and keeping them straight. Inside the sales barn, we register as sellers and find ourselves in the bleachers, watching batch after batch of cattle come and go, along with the hours.
Selling calves is always an extremely stressful time of the year here on the ranch, whether it comes in October or this year in January. We need every single penny and every single pound that we can get out of these calves, and it's just always nerve-wracking and stressful not knowing what exactly is going to happen by the end of today.
Each hour that a cow or calf is held before the sale, they're said to lose 1% of their body weight. If a calf weighs 500 pounds at the ranch, just after the 2-hour drive here, he's already lost 10 pounds. And as the clock continues to run, more and more cattle come through. And it's not much a matter of watching the afternoon slip away as watching pounds and money going out the window. By the time 4 hours and 2 p.m. rolls around, the cows may have lost up to 20 pounds each. And by 4 p.m., as we're still waiting for our turn to sell, it's been 6 hours since the calves left the ranch, and they're 30 pounds lighter. For every 16 to 20 calves that we sell at this point, we've lost 1 calf in weight. Since we're selling 100 calves, it's just over 5 calves worth of income, a loss of over $4,000 while we just sit here. Calves continue to roll in and out, not being weighed until they're in the sales ring and then sold. As the day drags on, buyers fill their quota and start to leave. leaving less and less to bid and give better prices. Eventually, though, our calves do enter the ring. Lighter than we hoped for, but still getting a decent price, averaging over $1.70 a pound. And the calves leave the barn and head out to another truck, feedlot bound, where they'll now live for the next year or so and are fed and fattened before entering the food system. They continue on from the ranch, and we head back to it, not with our tails between our legs, but with the burning desire to do something better and smarter for the ranch.
Every year on the ranch is a learning experience. This was the first year that we'd weaned calves. I'm sure that there's ways that we can do to make it better next year, and we'll make some changes next fall. We're going to continue to keep diversifying our income sources. More animals will be kept back for local sales, and jerky is soon coming to the website in abundance. So we're going to keep learning, keep changing, keep adapting so that we have more control over the future of the ranch.
All right, so I'm a little tired and a little annoyed, but that's okay. The big question is, did it pay off keeping the animals on the ranch for another 3 months? The only way to know that is to look at the numbers. Now, we sold right around 100 calves at market today. On average, after paying fees to the sales barn, we brought home less than $800 per calf. Looking back at the October market, for the same sales barn, if we compare apples to apples, we had a group of steers that went through at 511 pounds. They sold for $1.77 or about $900 each. Those were actually the highest price that we had of the day. Here's a few steers back in October that weighed 507. They went for $1.56 or $790. That's a difference of $110 for 3 months worth of feeding. Now, if a 500-pound calf eats 2% of their body weight per day, or 900 pounds over the 3 months, we spent about $15 cutting and baling the hay for that calf. We spent $15 to make the food to feed him to make an extra $110. Heifers, however, didn't do as well. The difference in price with them between now and October was pretty much nothing. But even factoring that in, we managed to make the ranch a little bit extra money with this new strategy, although it only equated to a few $1,000s. Now, we take that check, we pay off a few bills that have been waiting, hold back money for wages, and we're left with a couple $1,000s per month to keep the ranch going. This was a year that we all knew was coming to the ranch. When we left our careers to help out here, we never expected to be where we are now, but since we've been here, Gilbert, my father-in-law, that gave me the courage to do this job, he passed away. I promised him as he laid in a hospital bed that I wouldn't let anything happen to his most valued possession in the entire world, this ranch. Life made that promise a hard one to keep. It seemed like every time I turned around, there was another obstacle that would cost the ranch money. Animals would die for no reason. I'd try to save money here, only have to spend twice as much over there. And as time went on, it seemed to get harder. We built a family here. We had responsibilities. We had the responsibility of keeping the ranch going every single day, and it became a matter of moving away from the traditional ranching incomes to help support what Gilbert found to be his lifeblood. And we weren't the first people to think of it or do it. When Gilbert was alive, it was oil and methane in this area that kept thousands of family ranches going. But now, oil and gas is gone, and we're back to what ranchers in northeast Wyoming dealt with in the 40s and 50s. Dry land farming, drought, and harsh winters, followed by even harsher springs. Now, we feel like frontiersmen. Not because we're out clearing the way for civilization, but because we're trying to forge forward in a new way of ranching and trying to continue our ranch for generations to come. Over the last few years, we've branched out into market gardening, raising our own beef and pork, and in what was inspired by ranchers and farmers of the 40s and 50s, we've even managed to open a farm store right here on the ranch to sell directly to consumers. We haven't forgotten technology, of course, and we diversified even farther this year by selling beef jerky on our website. All of those efforts made for one purpose, and that's to honor a dying man's wish. Now Gilbert, well, he would have given you the shirt off his back. Probably want to wash it first. And we know that in order to keep ranching, we have to do things quite a bit differently too. Each year the ranch budget gets tighter and tighter. And with the cattle market the way it is, we know that eventually we'd have to make changes not only in the way that we bring income to the ranch, but we would have to start changing the way that we ranch altogether. As ranching reaches another decade and larger meat packers, conglomerates, and monopolies control prices, quality, and quantity, small ranchers and farmers are going to be seen less and less. The only way to change anything, unfortunately, is with your pocketbook. Now, I'm not challenging anybody to change their way of spending or thinking, but I am asking people to consider the consequences of not supporting your local farmer or rancher. In case you missed it, Walmart just this week announced that they opened their very own beef processing facility. And there's no way that you can tell me that that's not going to change prices for producers as well as consumers. Some say it's inevitable. But I'll say that a lot of us won't go down without a fight, because to me, it's all about a promise that I made to Gilbert, then my family, and then to you. Thanks for watching. I may be a little pissed right now, but tomorrow the sun, well, it's going to come back up again. The cows are going to need fed, and calves will soon be on the ground, and we'll start the whole thing all over again. I hope that you're able to subscribe and come along for the ride. Here's to a whole new 2020. Have a great week, and thanks for joining us in our Wyoming Life.